What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Freedom Fire Podcast, where we want to stoke the flames of freedom every single day. My name is Kendall Bowman. We got a loaded show for you guys, but before we get into that, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section, and share the show with your friends. Be sure you follow me down on all the socials in the comment section. All right, let's get into this. Canadian preacher faces 10 years in prison for COVID-19 protests. Yes, that's right, protests. From Timcast, Canadian preacher and pastor Artur Pawlowski spent almost the entirety of the pandemic in and out of jail, paying fines levied against him for continuing to offer services and refusing to back down. Now, he's facing what he describes as his final trial for his 20-minute-long sermon at a protest held by truckers who oppose Canada's COVID-19 restrictions. This is the final culmination of over 40 tickets for the COVID tyranny, the house arrest, the prison, all of that stuff, Pawlowski told Fox News. The pastor was arrested 5 times during the pandemic, but continued to perform services. Meanwhile, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has been allegedly working back channels with the Attorney General to see the charges reduced or abandoned. Officials leaked this revelation to the government-funded Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, or CBC, prompting a response from Smith. After taking the office, the Premier and her staff had several discussions with the Minister of Justice and Justice Department public servants, requesting an explanation of what policy options were available for this purpose. After receiving detailed legal advice and recommendations from the minister not to proceed with pursuing options for granted amnesty, the Premier followed that local advice. Smith's office said in a statement responding to CBC's report. Pawlowski was highly critical of her inaction, Fox News reports. I think the biggest problem is that she appointed the same villains in her cabinet, Pawlowski said, noting that some of the same cabinet members who were caught violating their own COVID-19 rules during a private dinner in 2021 remain in place. She's extremely weak, Pawlowski said of the new premier, whom he claims to have known for 15 years since they were both in Alberta's Wild Rose Party. Remember, you're dealing with a flip-flopping politician who crosses the floors, abandons people, promises one thing, and changes her mind. In 2010, a pastoral service founded by Pawlowski lost its government-granted tax-exempt status, with officials citing the group's position on homosexuality and abortion, precipitating that change in status. Now, I know what you're thinking. Kendall, what does this have to do with us? This is in Canada. This is not America. I think that this has to do a lot with us, actually. I think it's very foolish for us as Americans to sit here and say that something that is happening literally all over the world, in almost every country on the planet, could not happen here in America. And it's because of things like this that I want to show you. From Breitbart, United States will soon make hate speech illegal, says EU Commissioner. The Vice President for Values and Transparency for the European Commission, Vera Jouvin, predicted on Tuesday that hate speech laws will be imposed upon the American public. Despite long-standing case law at the Supreme Court protecting such speech under the First Amendment. Illegal hate speech, which you will have soon also in the U.S., I think that we have a strong reason why we have this in the criminal law, Jouvin said. The Czech politician, who previously served as the European Commissioner for Justice, Consumers, and Gender Equality, made the comments during a World Economic Forum panel hosted by former CNN host Brian Stelter on the clear and present danger for disinformation. The choice of Stelter may perhaps be viewed by some as ironic given his own relationship with the truth. The panel also featured New York Times chairman Arthur Gregg Sulzberger, Democratic Congressman Seth Moulton, and Internews CEO Jean Bourgault. Representative Moulton seemingly agreed with the statement from the EU Commission VP, telling her, I think in general the U.S. has a lot to learn in terms of data regulation, internet regulation. You're way ahead of us in that regard. However, the Democrat politician later clarified that he did not believe that American politicians were ready to forsake the fundamental aspects of freedom of speech. Well, if we're not ready to abandon freedom of speech, why agree? Why agree with this person who is clearly going against freedom of speech if you're not ready to take it away? And the reason why is they're lying. It's a lie. From the Epoch Times, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee introduces bill criminalizing speech deemed white supremacist. Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrat from Texas, introduced the Leading Against White Supremacy Laws Act of 2023, a bill that would criminalize speech around certain topics and label it hate speech. The Texas Democrat filed H.R. 61 to expand the scope of hate crimes and to prevent and prosecute white supremacy-inspired hate crime and conspiracy to commit white supremacy-inspired hate crime. The bill reads, the bill's text states that anyone who publishes material advancing white supremacy, white supremacist ideology, antagonism based on replacement theory, or hate speech that vilifies or is otherwise directed against any non-white person or group could face criminal penalties. This is insane. Now, thank God this is in the state of Texas, where it has absolutely zero hope of getting through the legislature. But I think this is a sign, guys. What would you think would happen if a bill like this were to try to go through in, say, California or New York? I would say that it would have a very good chance of making it through the legislatures in those states. And afterwards, you could be vilified just for, and I quote, hate speech that vilifies or otherwise directed against any non-white person or group. Now, the question that I have for you is, who defines what hate speech is? This is the question that we have to ask. Who would be the person that would be defining what hate speech is? At the end of the day, they would just be able to make up whatever hate speech is. And all it would take would be one judge agreeing with them, and that would set the precedent. They want to take away your free speech. You know, Dave Chappelle had a joke in one of his specials one time that the Second Amendment is there in case the First Amendment fails. Well, they're already going after your Second Amendment. The ATF has implemented multiple illegal rules where they just outright came out and said, okay, we're going to restrict your right to get bump stocks. Oh, we're going to restrict your right to get pistol braces just because we feel like it. You know, we didn't go through Congress or anything, but we're just going to make up the rule to do that because we feel like it. And it's illegal and it's wrong. Guys, this can absolutely happen here in the United States. Absolutely. You can see here, they're already trying to do it. And I don't think that we should wait for this to happen before we decide to speak up and do something about it. We need to be proactive, and we need to nip this in the bud before it has a chance to even get off the ground. We need to contact our reps. We need to be in the streets protesting things like this. Now, leftists, they'll go to the houses of judges to try to subvert justice in our justice system, which of course is illegal. You have a right to protest. You don't have a right to subvert justice by protesting in front of judges' houses and trying to subvert justice, because that would be taking away someone's rights. Now, like I said, we gotta be proactive about this, guys. We gotta get in front of this. We gotta speak out. Contact your reps. Get in the streets. Protest. We can't allow this to happen. This bill outright states that just simply criticizing anybody of a different, race, of a different minority group, can easily land you in prison. And you will be faced with hate crime charges. This is illegal. This is wrong. And it goes against everything that our country stands for. We have to be better. We have to speak up. And we got to stop this. We can't have this in the United States. We don't want to be like Europe. We don't want to be like Canada. We got to stop it. Now, as for this pastor, I think this guy is a hero. I think he's standing up for what's right. The government should have no control over your religion. And that's the reality we have here in America, but unfortunately, other countries don't see it that way. It's really sad, but I really hope that this guy is able to get off, and I really hope that he's able to keep fighting, because this is wrong. And we should be taking after his example and fighting this here in America before it ever even gets a chance to take off. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. I got another show coming for you guys Monday, and I'll see you guys then. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.